If you're ready to shift from marketing activity to business achievement, this is where we deliver the maximum impact.
We focus solely on unlocking top-line revenue growth through strategic integrated marketing efforts. Join us as we explore the systems that make sure every dollar invested is paid to perform.
All right, welcome back. Today's topic is going to be kind of on a popular topic, which is more of the AI SEO approach. Which one do I use and what's the best angle for my business? So to start it off, we're going to go with a question. What if I told you the best ranking you could achieve isn't on Google's first page, but it's actually within the next ChatGPT? This is kind of where revenue's going, and what are kind of your thoughts in that regard?
Yeah, this is a huge topic. I mean, literally like every day I feel like we're getting asked about this, and we've been for probably the last 6 months now.
Yep.
AI has just been really kind of becoming an everyday thing for businesses. And then now, of course, what you see is these LLM models and AI overviews and all of these different AI models that are pulling in results because that's where people think that search is going as a whole, which, you know, it might be true. Yeah. That we're definitely seeing that AI is being used more so now than ever to create queries for questions that could have been used for just general search. So I think if you told me that, like you asked, like, what if you placed your efforts somewhere else in an LLM, is it the future and is it more beneficial for revenue first? I think it all goes hand in hand. I think right now, I really feel, because of the conversations that we've been on, people are really thinking it's like one or the other, but it's not. It's like you have to do both, right? Traditional search engine optimization and traditional SEO is the infrastructure to getting you into those LLMs and getting into AI overviews. So you can't do one without the other. You're not really able to do that. Now you can influence it and do dark hat strategies and stuff like that, or black hat strategies and stuff like that. But I think altogether, it's one big piece. And a lot of the basics of traditional SEO, I was in a couple of big groups with very intelligent people in the SEO world. And it's ironic because some of the infrastructure of what is needed to get into those AI models was the infrastructure of basic SEO 10 years ago. So it's one and one. It's not one or the other. It is together. But at the same time, to answer your question a little bit more direct, yeah, you have to be forward thinking. And I think if you are in those LLMs, your site and your content is being ranked in those models, I think it is going to lead to more revenue down the line. And I think it's going to lead to better opportunities. Maybe not immediately because the shift isn't going to happen overnight, but it's going to happen.
Within 5 years, it's safe to assume probably that somebody's going to, instead of searching like HVAC near me on Google's search queue, they're going to go within like a ChatGPT, a Gemini, and search what is the best HVAC in my area.
Yeah, I think the best model is probably like the newer, or the best way of thinking of this and how this is going to be used in future state is like seeing these tech releases recently, right? You see like the Meta glasses where it's literally on you. You don't have to pull out a device. You don't have to do anything. And you can say like, hey, Meta, what's the closest coffee shop near me? And it prompts, and now it puts the prompt on the screen on the lens itself. So it's like, that's what's going to happen, right? Like you're not going to have to take out a device and text or think about a model. You're just going to have to be like very conversational. Hey, Meta, hey, Gemini, hey, Siri, hey, whatever. Now all of our devices are going to go off. But yeah, I think that's what you see. And I think you'll be driving in a car and it'll be integrated in your car. I think you'll be, you'll have it on your glasses or on your headphones for Apple, and it'll just be conversational.
So like driving in a car, like where should I get my haircut if you're in an area? And then those businesses with the best SEO and AIO approach that have done it over a long course of time will be able to be seen and drive revenue through that action.
Yeah. And I think today, let's just take a look back like 10 years. Let's go back to 2015. I think through 2015 and maybe till about 2019, I'll call it like until COVID, SEO had a more prominent place in the marketplace when looking at your skew of advertising techniques and strategies to bring in new business opportunities. Once COVID happened, I think a lot of people, if they weren't already doing it and it wasn't a large expense on the books, then they didn't think about it, because like starting SEO from scratch can be an expensive thing for businesses without the immediate response to bringing in new leads. Like, if you're just starting tomorrow, you're not going to bring in new leads with search engine optimization or organic growth strategies. It's a longer approach to business development and growth. Paid advertising is the thing that's going to get you there faster. We can create ads, jump to the top of Google and search, right? Thinking pre-LLMs and whatnot, like that was like the best positioning. And you're number one on Google, like you're pay to play, right? But then you start to think of like, well, why do people make that decision? Because you can, if you put $1 into advertising, you get $3 in return, you can play that game all day. And the long-term vision, through COVID was a little bit, I would say, more narrow. Like, people didn't have an influx of cash to be able to put forth towards strategies that didn't get a return for 6-12 months. Now, coming out of that and thinking about like long-term and short-term growth, I still think paid advertising is the best way to create awareness, attention, leads, business and sales opportunities today, fastest. Like, still, again, I'd go to bat to say, like, you can't just do SEO tomorrow and rank, given there's outliers and all that kind of stuff. But in a general case scenario, you can't. But paid advertising, like you've seen it and I've seen it, we can turn on paid ads and get into lead in the first day. Not uncommon.
And it's only a matter of time, because these AI models are also in the business to make money. They're not just there from an informational approach, that they're going to incorporate a paid advertising approach within their platforms.
Yeah, it's I think that's we can run down a whole rabbit hole with that as a whole, right? Like, I just read something yesterday that was talking about the amount of cash that these AI tech companies are actually burning. A lot of the LLMs, the organizations behind them, OpenAI or Google or Meta. Now, luckily, Google and Meta have a lot of other things that are behind the company. They're not just an AI company, but a lot of these AI companies are not earning or not making money at all. They're losing a lot. And the bigger the company, the more they're losing. And I think the most recent play with OpenAI, kind of doing more business with AMD and NVIDIA, I think is a play to keep them in play longer, because they're burning so much cash. And I think that, it is a way for new search to happen. But when Google owns Google Search and then they own an LLM, I think long-term, you're going to see ads in these LLMs. You're going to see some type of sponsorship opportunities, because it is a way for them to make money, and they own that network and they own that space. So, Google ads makes a lot of money. Facebook ads makes a lot of money.
Yeah, I think it's similar to you could see it from the streaming space. Look at Netflix 10 years ago compared to now, where they were burning cash and they were kind of on this, I want to try to just get as many customers, like loyal customers. And now you have an uptick in subscriptions, you have ads all over the place, things are transforming. So I do think that's probably as well going to happen in the LLM space.
Yeah.
But let's take a step back. Let's kind of explain for anybody who doesn't know what exactly like an LLM model is.
Yeah. So you're using it probably today. Realistically, I think that with any of these mechanisms, like Siri is an LLM. So it's not super new. It isn't this thing that has come out and like now is just hitting the market. It's been around for quite a while. Any type of model that you are conversing with in a way that is learning based off of a response and has feedback, I think is the model. And it's not new. ChatGPT is newer. Gemini is newer. But the basics behind these structures are not that new. They've been around for quite a while. And they have the tech behind it for like probably, over a decade for sure.
And then they explain kind of like why they matter and the credibility factor within kind of the LLM models.
Yeah. So I think like right now, I think the easiest way to describe this is look at the AI overview, right? So if you go search for something, I just looked at data on this. I was roughly over the past couple of quarters here in 2025, we've seen that not everything you search will prompt an AI overview. So you can search something like find the best car dealership near me, and it may or may not prompt AI overview to then respond. Then you can search something else and the AI overview isn't there. But over from quarter to quarter reports, more queries are increasing with AI overviews. Like AI overview is becoming more prevalent. Does it eventually happen 100% of the time? Probably, yeah. Probably as it learns and as they gain more data and they start to push it more aggressively because it becomes an everyday thing for everybody, then yeah, I think it will be. So your question was, why is the LLM model important? If someone is searching for the best car dealership near me, and it is prompting that AI overview, it is now that first place on Google. So the AI overview is the first thing that's seen, where before it was the ads, right? So now the LLM model is the first place. And where it's getting that is more through organic things. There's a lot of places like news sites, blogs, or content on like video and posts on social. It does acquire information from that to then list into the LLMs. You can actually look on the model and ask, or kind of like see, not ask it, but show the resources in which it gained its data to then provide feedback. And you can see the resources that it uses. It lists all the resources. And a lot of them are like news is a pretty heavy one, but it's important because it is now becoming the first thing that people see. And by sheer norm, attention spans are minimal. People don't want to go to the bottom of page 1 on Google. People want to look at the first thing they see. And the lower you are on that page, the less likely you are to be found by the consumer. And if the LLM is the first thing that's being prompted, it's probably where it's going to get all the traffic. And that's just AI overviews. I think the second part of that is more people are using AI models to ask questions. Like how many people have ChatGPT open on their computer all day when at work, if they're in an office. And now you have apps, right? Like I have the Gemini app. I'm a Gemini user and also ChatGPT, but they both have apps. So you can just go to that. So people are going to that opposed to going to Google. Like I know some kids these days, and it's happening more so on the younger age, but I know some kids that like fully converse with ChatGPT all day. They just like, they're in the app all day conversing. That's all they do.
Yeah. I mean, I would say my Google search inquiry, I'm kind of guilty myself. Now I just ask questions, where before I would be more of like a statement when looking up a certain topic, where now I just ask the question because I know it's going to generate an AI response and I'll get it. Like, why did this happen, or why, instead of like Googling the specific event, you could just Google or check. It's basically that LLM approach of why X, Y, or Z happened. You get a full response. You don't have to click through some links, and you could just move on with your day. And it goes back to attention spans. People just want answers now. People aren't going to look if they're looking for how this relates to your business. If you're a business owner, people aren't going to look 5, 6, 7 businesses. Like they're going to trust whatever they get fed, the top couple of businesses, and probably make that decision from there.
Yeah, and this is theoretical. Like this is just me thinking out loud, but I think that when you ask a question to someone, like if I asked you a question and you were like, if I asked what was the best pizza place around here, and you say like this place, my likelihood of going to that place is probably higher than going to another random place. I am thinking, and just in deep thought, I'm wondering if the recommendation that comes for you, and when I ask that same question to ChatGPT or to Gemini or any of the other models, and it provides a response, does the weight of that response hold the same type of weight from a response from you? Like, is that recommendation and that referral of that organization the same? I think for a lot of people it is these days, because they're really trusting these LLM models. Even though you've heard some people like Sam Altman say that maybe you shouldn't trust it fully with everything that you put in it. And like, there is some concern about security and privacy and things of that nature. No one really questions it, because I think a lot of people are putting a lot of detailed information into it. but how much trust is in the response it gives you? I mean, I think a lot, which is crazy to think. And if it is a lot, how important is it that your business is in that response? It's almost like getting more reviews without needing the 5 stars on the Google listing, right? Like people look at that, but do people look at it as much as if the AI model recommends it? Do they just look at it at its face value and then say, okay, that's the place? I don't know. It's theoretical.
I would say the younger, like the Gen Z generation, as they're getting older too. I mean, within like 5-10 years, they're going to be very distinct buyers in all markets of play. They did a research. I can't remember the exact statistics off the top of my head, but I remember research came out and it was in regards to online content and how they use that online content as their source of credibility over the news, over other ways, the newspaper for that matter as well. Like what they would get from whether it was an influencer, which you could argue that even ChatGPT and AI are turning into influencers in decision making.
Yeah.
That they would trust what they saw online through an influencer over another source of information.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I've seen the influencer, like not the man, but the influencer desire and like need in the marketing space come down a little bit, right? Like it had its hype. It was a big thing to use influencers. You know, and you saw it in different places, whether that be like high school sports with NIL, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But it's come down a lot, and it's not as profound. And I think what's more profound and like what's on the come up is the use of AI in these types of case scenarios, like for creating a graphic or creating an image or a post or creating a video. Not only is it substantially cheaper to create an AI model or an AI creative than opposed to like an influencer, but it's also more scalable. It's also faster. It's also got a lot of like less legal liabilities. And like there's a lot of factors there that come to play. And it's a just pull the trigger and do it. Like it's so much more simplistic than the whole nine with an influencer. So if the loyalty and the trust and the consideration from the consumer is on the up with LLM models, other ways of creating content and creative is on the down for sure, because it is not, you cannot compete with being able to create a creative in that space. And yeah, there's a lot of factors here that come to play when thinking of it from a marketing perspective and how it affects the business, right? So like what I think about is, can you hold KPIs with your current program, right? If you're using top tier talent for creatives, can you hold KPIs by implementing AI? And if you can, you're doing two things. Most likely, you're holding performance, but as long as your performance is good, let's just assume your performance is good, but you're drastically reducing overhead costs. So what are you doing? You're widening margins and you're adding more to top line. Or you're not adding more to top line, but you're thickening profits. So if everything else remains constant and you make that switch, you know, thinking of it from a large scale perspective, if you pay influencers or if you have top level talent coming in for creative and for commercials, AI is going to be substantially cheaper if everything holds. And I think there's organizations testing it. When you see big companies like Coca-Cola or McDonald's or someone that's really big on the advertising scale and really spending a lot, these small shifts, you surmount to massive amounts of money in savings.
Yeah, and you can even see it from the sales or the customer fulfillment perspective, which does align with marketing. If you call your bank, call your dentist, call pretty much any large level business, they're all switching to more of that service AI approach. You may not notice it. They're getting a lot better and better at making it seem like it's an actual human that you're talking to. Yeah. But everything is I mean, I was on the phone with Chase and the 10 minutes I was talking to an AI person to get me to where I needed to go, and it saves the business revenue at the end of the day, because this is a scalable approach, like you were saying, that this AI can be talking to thousands of customers at one time.
Yeah, I agree. So let's think about it in reference to we talked about a lot on the service side and how it
Yeah.
can be implemented and whatnot. But let's
Mhm.
talk a little bit more about uh, what do you need to do as a business owner in order to start taking advantage of this? Because hopefully the last 15, 20 minutes that we were talking has helped you understand that it is important to start to think about, and not only think about, but to implement into your business,
Mhm.
because it is not just a fad. It is going to stay, and it's also going to change how consumers interact with your business in the immediate need, because we're seeing it slightly, but in 2, 5, 10, 20 years, it'll be a drastically difference in the way that
Mhm.
they find your business. So start making the shift now, because it is an important shift to make, and it's going to stay.
And to make that shift, there's a lot of content structure and authority. So essentially, the foundation. So, can you kind of give the viewers a little bit more of an explanation as to kind of the structured data and what is required from like an execution standpoint?
Yeah. So what we're finding right now is AI models love information. Like,
Hmm.
they feed off of information and data. So a typical blog post at 500 to 750 words, where you're breaking it into some sections and making it more of like a leisure read, is not really enough. It's enough for consumer, right? Because you have like the two sides, right? People don't really like to read a lot of long text, because keeping the person's interest in that blog post is really hard. So elaborative long text is not like user friendly from a human's perspective.
Hmm.
But from an AI model, more content, more information, more detail is actually better to feed that model proper information, and to be able to give information and resources to then, potentially find yourself in the AI overview and in LLMs. So more data, more information is really important. So in the way you talk about, the topic is more granular in the perspective of thinking of it to rank in an AI model compared to like just a human reading it.
And more data, like, do you mean kind of what your client data, your business data, what explain to me just a little bit more as to that approach.
Yeah, so like you just getting really detailed, right? Like
Yeah.
before, if you wanted to talk about products,
Hmm.
you might be surface layer, because talking about, if you have a business where you're talking about screws, nuts and bolts, right? Like,
Hmm.
being super detailed might be useful for some case scenarios, but you don't need to say that it's a 1/4 inch thick with a 3 millimeter
Hmm.
round top, and like being excessively detailed now is helpful, because you don't know how someone's going to search or what they're asking. The way they search now is different too, right?
Hmm.
I think you said this really early on, but when you would go into Google and you would search for like best pizza place near me, like that's just uh, a way that you would search in Google, because you knew that it would provide you better results for a particular industry in a particular location. So you kind of like, you would never talk to someone like that.
Hmm.
But with these AI models, it's all what we would call as like long tail. It's like, hey Gemini, where do I find the best pizza place near me?
Hmm.
And it's more conversational. Like, you don't really ever say that whole full phrase in Google.
Hmm.
So how descriptive people are, and the questions and the conversational format needs to be emphasized more in the content that you're writing, because AI is sifting through everything. So it's changing the model, and we're really going deeper into like what that means, right?
Hmm.
Like, what's the deviation? If I write 500 words on my blog post now, and it's not really pushing detail into like AI, or
Hmm.
it's not giving the AI enough information to be able to use it for recommending in AI overviews, what do I need to do? Like, how do I really get that? So we're going to come back and we'll have a case study with that, and we're going to have some detailed analysis of saying like, this is what we've changed
Hmm.
to show you how important it is.
So basically, to kind of reemphasize, like there is a need for like clear, unambiguous language because they prioritize factual, quotable text. So basically, instead of putting in a bunch of jargon, you want to make sure, all right, if I'm in West Palm Beach and I'm a pizza shop, for example, I want to make sure that I'm clearly explaining we are the best pizza shop in West Palm Beach. Now we have the best food, or not just like this vague response. It's like, we are the best pizza shop. We're located in Palm Beach. We have the reviews to prove it. We're family owned, kind of being way more granular so the LLMs can pick up kind of these cues, as if you want to call them that.
Yeah, and we've all heard about like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, DeepSeek, all of these models kind of like provide fake information sometimes. We've all heard of that kind of that word of like, it is providing information that's not real. Hallucinating is the term that's been given to it. And it's important for those companies, those organizations behind these models, to not provide false or irrelevant information. So, because then you lose trust and you lose quality and value. And if they are precise and they're really on target with providing you the best information, and Google is amazing at this because they've been doing it for so long. For instance, how does an ad pop up in front of you? Well, it knows what you searched and where you searched, and it will show you different results based off of all of these factors that come into play, right? It's not going to show you the best gym if you're in Orlando, and it's not going to provide you a gym in LA, right? It's not going to do that because it knows your location and it knows what's around there and the businesses serving ads. So they've been doing this for a long time. Same thing with organic. Like they're strategic about what ranks and why. It's not just a randomization of things that just are out there. But it's important that these models also have that same thought process. So there's this emphasis on experience being important because it wants to provide the experience of using that model in a more thorough way, saying like the experience of using Gemini or ChatGPT has been amazing because it provides me with relevant and valuable information. Then it's expertise, right? Like being an expert in a trade is really important because why do businesses with more expertise and more longevity typically rank higher? Credibility. More expertise helps provide more credibility. More credibility aligns with the model, or even, any type of search, feeling more comfortable, quote unquote, to push your information to a user because it can trust it, right? And authoritativeness is another one. Having strong authority over your industry, over your market, and the queries that are being asked that align with your business are important. And then trustworthiness. If all of these things align, if you could make the experience, the expertise, authoritativeness, and the trustworthiness align with your business, your brand, the services you provide, the products you provide, the location you have, it's more likely that a model is going to then recommend you in AI overview or put you in a recommendation or a response when asked something that aligns with your business.
So an example would kind of be like, if you're a pizza shop experience, we've been around for over 20 years, expertise. We are the best pizza maker who creates everything from scratch. Authoritativeness. We won awards. How would you kind of authoritativeness would come into the role there?
Authoritativeness, I think of a couple of things, like basic traditional SEO could be a supportive of that. I do think that and I know this based off of a lot of discussions, but backlinks and sources, which is traditional off-page SEO, help support and create more credibility behind your site or the information that's online. So if and that's why I think news pages rank really well and are often seen in AI overviews because the credibility behind that news site, one, a lot of traffic, two, massive amounts of backlinks and interlinking. And I think because of that, the authoritativeness is higher because there's a lot of other places also recommending that content or referring back to that content. So it knows that.
Okay. And then trustworthiness is basically reviews. I mean, it's cut and dry at the end of the day.
Reviews also probably, it would be to question if they do some type of query for negative reputation, but your reputation online is probably an importance for that too, for sure. But if a lot of people are talking poorly on that, I have seen some of these models actually provide information. Recently, I did a query on something and it provided me information on the bad things on that business. This was a really large business, and it was like back in 2021, there was a legal battle with XYZ, and it provided me this was just asking about a synopsis of that business. I wasn't asking show me the bad, but it provided that insight. So that insight probably comes from negative reputation based content that's out there, maybe from news sites, maybe from articles, and it's taking that to bring into its analysis and then provide that feedback to you. So it's looking at the good and the bad, but I think all of that's really coming from other credible resources that are ranking and that are indexed online.
Okay. So, and then this kind of can transition us into the eternal link strategy as to kind of how this structure that you were talking about, the backlinks and everything, how they all kind of drive cohesion with the EEAT.
Yeah, and it just goes back to why they recommend a source. So this is like your traditional SEO. On-page SEO and off-page SEO are really important. So that's why, to begin this conversation, I said it's all one thing. It's not two separate, right? And this is the risk, right? If you're thinking about AI models and all of your content is strictly about formatted for AI models, but you lack all of your fundamental SEO work, you're going to probably be seen less trustworthy, less authoritative, maybe even less with experience, because it doesn't have ways of looping or kind of circling back additional content to support the content. But interlinking supports content. So that's just traditional SEO though. Interlinking is nothing, it's not a new strategy or technique for LLMs. It's 100% supportive for organic SEO.
Okay. So now we'll transition and kind of one of the probably most important topics, which go into AIO, which we kind of briefly touched on at the beginning of this segment. How does this get me top line revenue? How does this make my business grow? I know there's traffic, but there's got to be more to it.
This is really simple. It doesn't have to be, this can be overdone drastically. When you see an ad on social media, you are getting that ad because you're targeted based off of you having an interest or a behavior or a geographic or demographic profile that matches and aligns with the targeting that was put forth with that ad. You may not be further down the buying process. If you look at the process of purchasing in a pipeline stage, when you see an ad on social, you might want that product because it potentially, through targeting, aligns with who you are and what you do and where you are and XYZ. But if someone is on Google, and now if someone's on an AI model, an LLM, which is really the kind of the same, they're one step further because they're taking the action to search for that product or service. And if they're taking the action to search for that, then they're closer to purchasing because they potentially are already sold on purchasing. It's just about who's going to be in front of them, which is basically a Google ad, a traditional Google search ad, or Maps, ad, which is an extension. But it's no different than typical AdWords or Google search strategies or Bing search strategies. But that's really it. So when you start to think about why you would want to implement this in reference to a revenue first model, if Google has worked for you, if AdWords has worked for your business and you've done well with that, this is the transition of the next phase of that. And that goes off of AI models or AI overview, anything of that sort. It's just a person that's further down the purchasing pipeline. And by you being recommended in these or even briefed in these AI models, it can lead to more purchases.
So this person's already, I mean, we'll probably get into this in another segment, but this person's already seen, in theory, on like the power of seven, which you like to describe. They're kind of already at that process. You've seen, for instance, I've seen a shirt ad on Facebook 5 times, and I see it on TV or whatever the case may be. So now I'm ready to search on AI, like, is this company, should I buy from this company?
Yeah, there's two ways to look at that. I mean, if they call out that specific company, that specific organization, yeah, it's important for AI models to be able to reference your website and who you are, to then be able to provide like kind of the right information to the consumer, right? So like how, and this goes back to, if you had a website built in 2000 and you haven't touched it since 2000, you should start to think about that.
Yep.
Because if AI models are looking at that 25-year-old website, is it updated with the right content? Probably not. Is it structurally fit for LLMs? Probably not. So you have to think about that, because how it's getting the information to talk about your business is from other resources out there or your resources. So my recommendation is to be in control of that and let it be your resource. You control what LLMs say about you. And by providing content about your business and about the services and products you have through your website or through other resources in the same fashion, like creating social content. Social content's a really great strategy as well right now, because it's taking that content and using it as a resource to back up or connect other resources. Like, you know, it's a full circle. It's using other references to be able to support that, because it wants to provide the right response. It really, like AI and LLMs don't want to provide the wrong response. And it's in the best interest of these organizations that run these models to provide the best responses, because then it's trustworthy. More people are going to use it.
Come back and you won't question it as much. You'll do less research. I won't say, oh, is Gemini right? When if they're right the last 5 times, I know they're probably going to be right this time.
Just like social media models want to keep your attention and your time on those platforms, these LLMs want to keep your attention and time on these LLMs. And in order to do that, they have to be right.
Which is updating your content.
You can influence it for sure by providing better content. So that's one way to, if someone asks about the business. The other is, if someone doesn't know your business, you can still be recommended in AI overviews, like just for a product line, like best pizza place near me, right? How do you get in that? Maybe they don't know of your business yet, so that rule of 7 doesn't apply. But at the same time, they're sold on the product or service. They're just trying to find a place to go, or the place to purchase from, really. I mean, so they are further down the line, or further down the funnel, whichever way you think of it. They can be, this is more middle of funnel opposed to top of funnel.
And even if, what do you say to kind of business owners who think like, oh, my organic numbers are fine, I'm happy with where my business is at, like, why do I need to mess with my website? Why do I need to work on AIO or SEO if I am doing well to begin with?
One, it's structurally a little bit different. So it's not, again, it's all in one. The foundation of your organic rankings, if you're succeeding right now, great. But that does not mean that someone cannot leapfrog you. If they focus more thoroughly on how these models think and how they're providing information, and they are focused on that and SEO, the core SEO stuff, they can leapfrog you, because your content could be relevant in one way, but it needs to still be updated. And also there's like schema, and there's a lot of other things out there that are important to support how the LLMs reference, opposed to just traditional organic rankings. So if you're not thinking about that, you can be leapfrogged by your competitor, which could be a potential problem. The other thing is, be forward thinking. Like, just you have to go back. Yeah. Why wait? Don't let this opportunity be the opportunity that takes you out, right? Because it's not going away. It's going to stay.
And it goes back to kind of, you want to be, we didn't talk about this today, but we've talked about it before. Like, you want to be proactive and not reactive.
Yeah.
Because when you're reactive, you're scrambling, you're more conscious on what you're kind of investing into. When you're kind of being proactive, there's a strategic plan put into place and you understand where your resources are going and you're willing to follow a structured timeline rather than I need this to work. I need it to work now because everything was doing great last year, but this year, like my business took a flop and I think it's because I haven't updated my website. I haven't worked on SEO and I'm behind.
Yeah. Yeah. Plan more strategically. I think you got to be forward thinking in this case scenario. And it's important to think about long-term vision for your organization, right? I understand like paid advertising is going to bring the immediate dollar, but long-term growth is the LLM models and it's AI and how AI is recommending your business in these briefings. And when an analysis is the information, what information is it getting? How is it getting information? Like, what always astonishes me is, and I ask this all the time, how do you think the AI model is creating its response? Where do you think it's getting its content from? What's online? The indexed resources that are out there. It's not just creating, I mean, that would be hallucination if it just creates the information. So they're trying not to get it to hallucinate and to create random information that has no resource or no data to back it. But without hallucinating, it's getting the information from resources that are out there and exist on the web today. If you can control those resources because it's getting the resources from a website that you own, then you're probably going to be able to have a better response or a response that aligns with your liking more. But if, that's the other thing, like don't let other resources be the resource because what they say is then the standard for your business. So control it because it is going to say something that a news article says or that someone else says about your business. So it could get crazy.
Yeah. So be in as control of your brand as you possibly can because there's so many factors that go into kind of the online brand and digital presence.
Absolutely. So, to wrap it up, I think the future of implementing and thinking about implementing AIO and SEO into your business shouldn't be a question that you keep asking yourself and you keep waiting on. I think you do have to take action on this now. I think you do have to implement this into your business because your competitors are going to do it. That's for one. But the realistic thing is it's not something that's going to go away. The amount of money that has been invested into these models, that has been invested into the employees and into these practices in the last 18 months, 24 months, and the amount of money that's coming in over the next 5 to 10 years for AI development is so much that it's only going to become more important because you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars, like cumulatively between all of these different organizations. And they're the largest organizations that exist out there. So it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's not about just turning. Some people think they can turn the blind eye, like, oh, I hope it goes away, or I'll just see how long I can go without it. Like, why? You're only shooting yourself. It's not going in the foot. Like, it's not going anywhere. It's only going to continue to grow, as you've explained. So you need to understand it, learn how to work with it, and it's at the end of the day a beneficiary.
Yeah.
It's not there to hurt you. It's there to help your business.
Yeah.
And once you kind of come to sense with that, it gives you a little bit more clarity as to, I need to execute these strategies because in 2 or 3 years, it's going to be very beneficial to my business.
Yeah, I agree. Likewise. Awesome. Well, great episode today. And we'll keep talking about how implementing strategies that are effective and relevant today could lead to revenue growth. Keep thinking about profit first, and everything that you do, is important to emphasize on top line growth.
Top line growth and strategy. There's always a reason to spend the dollar and making sure that it's best spent.
Yeah. Thanks for watching Paid to Perform.